This video was brought to you by Titan Mattress. Good God, it's almost summer again. And if you're a big dude like me, it's not only time to start getting back into the routine and staying cool, I also got to make sure I'm sleeping on the right bed to make those exhausting summer days worth a damn. Thankfully, as always, Titan has my back for this. Now, Titan specializes in making quality mattresses for plus-size individuals like me. And I can say that because I'm a big dude. There's a whole lot of me to love. But yeah, sleep's very important to me, and getting a good mattress is a crucial life investment. And with Titan, you don't gotta waste time going to a mattress emporium or any of that. You order these online and they're shipped to your house, safe and sound in a secure box, and installing it is as simple as pie, and pretty fun. I've personally had my Titan mattress for close to 2.5 years at this point, and I haven't looked back. It's genuinely one of the most comfortable beds I've ever slept on. As someone who works from home, if I don't get a good night's sleep, I'm not getting anything done for that day. But my Titan mattresses offered me wonderful comfortability and back support for myself and my partner, and I loved it so much I got one from my parents. Now, I got them set up with a Titan Plus Elite of their own, not just to replace their crusty ass mattress, but because I firmly believe Titan makes some damn good mattresses. With Titan, you're getting quality and affordability. They're backed by master craftsmen who've been building mattresses for over 30 years. They're rigorously tested to ensure durability, and since they're designed, assembled, and shipped from the Arizona factory, they can use premium materials at a reasonable price to you, and if you live in the United States, you get free shipping. Plus, if you're still on the fence, Titan comes with a 120-night sleep trial and limited lifetime warranty to give you peace of mind with your purchase. So visit titanmattress.com/somecallmejohnny to get 30% off your order with code SomeCallmeJohnny. Once more, that's titanmattress.com/somecallmejohnny to get 30% off your order with code SomeCallmeJohnny. Hell, you can get started with your phone right now by scanning the QR code you see on the screen there. Thanks to Titan for sponsoring this video, and thank you, as always, for helping support this channel. Let's continue on with the show. It's been over 15 years since I started the Johnny Versus series, the main attraction on this channel, you could say. And I figured to start the celebration, I go back to Mario. It seemed appropriate to me. My first ever Versus video was on the original Super Mario Bros. And since then, I've covered a whole bunch of other Mario games, but only sporadically covered handheld entries. But today, I'm looking to start changing that. So let's go all the way back to the late 1980s, around the time the original Game Boy made its debut. This is the Game Boy Pocket, though. This is not the original model. It's really nice, though. In 1985, Nintendo not only brought us the Nintendo Entertainment System, but one of the most influential side-scrolling platformers in video game history, Super Mario Bros. It's been over 40 years since then, but even today it's a timeless classic that wouldn't be my first Mario game I pop in on my NES, but I can sit back, relax, and vibe with this game on a good afternoon. In 1989, Nintendo will bring us the Game Boy, and with it, a new handheld version of Super Mario Bros., giving folks an honest-to-God platformer for a new device in a launch window that only consisted of games like baseball, tennis, alleyway, and Tetris. Though to be fair, Tetris speaks for itself. I ain't about to say Tetris for the Game Boy wasn't a big fucking deal, but I've heard almost no one ever talk about baseball or tennis, despite both looking perfectly fine. And Alleyway was just the Game Boy version of Breakout, but Breakout can still be a fun time in small doses, so that was still cool, I think. Mario's first handheld outing, titled Super Mario Land, would be the first Mario game that creator Shigeru Miyamoto would have little involvement with. Instead, the game was developed by good old Nintendo R&D 1. The folks behind Game & Watch, Donkey Kong, Metroid, they cooked up a lot of shit looking back. But despite the game not being in the hands of the original creators, the game's foundation is still largely based on the original Super Mario Bros. For the NES. Only instead of Mario rummaging around the Mushroom Kingdom, this adventure would take him through the handful of kingdoms of Sarasa Land, where an evil extraterrestrial called Tatanga has kidnapped the kingdom's ruler, Princess Daisy, and has brainwashed all the inhabitants to do his bidding, which is kind of fucked up thinking about it. Does that only include the boss fights, or are all the enemies in this game acting against their will? I'm sure a poop to the head ain't exactly lethal, but the Koopas of this game, known here as Nokobans, literally blow up after you jump on them once, and goddamn, that's pretty grisly. You get brainwashed and now you're forced to self-destruct when your ass gets pounded. As a kid that actually owned this game in the early 90s, I was always weirded out by how the enemies were named in the manual. Super Mario Land has the standard Goombas, Piranha Plants, and Bullet Bills, but in the manual they were called Chibobos, Pakun Flowers, and Giras. Are these the Temu variety you could buy on a budget? Well, no, these I believe are just what these guys are called in Japan. It's just, for some reason, they didn't bother translating the names this time. But you know what? I kind of dig it because it helps give Sarasaland an identity compared to the Mushroom Kingdom. Though to be fair, it's not as if Sarasaland needed help with that, because all of the kingdoms in this realm, Birabudo, Muda, Easton, and Chai, are based off real-life locations such as Egypt, Bermuda, Easter Island, and China. It's the closest we get to Mario experiencing adventures in the real world, decades before Super Mario Odyssey was even a sperm in Miyamoto's nutsack. I think it's the most memorable thing of Super Mario Land, because otherwise this game it's a pretty faithful take on the Super Mario Bros. Formula, though it isn't one-to-one the same. Firstly, Mario's controls in this are kind of shit. Word of advice from the get-go, try not to hold the run button down when you don't need to, because Mario reaches top speed in less than a microsecond in this game, and that shit can make you easily fall off all those tiny-ass platforms this game loves to throw at you starting in the game's second half. I also assume Mario's been putting on the weight, because this asshole falls down platforms so goddamn fast if you're not already jumping. The fuck is this, Mega Man 1? Good God. Instead of a flagpole at the end, there's 2 exits Mario can take. The bottom one just takes you to the next stage, but if you manage to reach the top exit, you can play a bonus game to nab some extra lives and even a power-up before heading to the next level. You just gotta hope RNG is on your side and that damn ladder doesn't take you to something you don't need. You can still grab a Super Mushroom and give Mario an extra hit point. I don't know why, but Mario's full-grown sprite in this game is like the funniest shit to me. He just looks so fucking done with this, and I can't blame him. Imagine going through all these damn obstacles to rescue the princess only to find out it's a decoy and you just wasted your time. That face is damn appropriate. Mario also doesn't get a fire flower in this game. In its place is the Super Ball. It's a ball that you can only fire one at a time. You can't shoot another one until the previous one disappears. It can be used to kill enemies and pick up hard to reach coins, but otherwise it's a little too unruly for my liking, even when you get the feel for it down. And sometimes shit like this can happen, and imagine playing Breakout but the bricks don't break. Lastly, there's the Invincibility Star, which pretty much does exactly what the star did in the NES game, but this one plays the can. Imagine the last thing you hear before an insane radioactive plumber rams your ass is a classical piece from Offenbach. Not for nothing though, this game's soundtrack is fucking good. Despite the game being beatable in less than 40 minutes, it's packed with a bunch of catchy tunes courtesy of Hirokazu Tanaka that are some of my favorite tracks from Mario's earliest days. I love the whole soundtrack. Granted, that's easy to accomplish when the soundtrack isn't very large, but the accolade sure does sound nice on paper, doesn't it? The overworld theme is fun and bouncy, the Muda Kingdom is laid back and relaxing, and the Chai Kingdom is just wonderful to listen to. That is until the Jiangxi enemies keep infesting the screen like a goddamn plague. If you don't take these guys out with the Super Ball, they'll just keep coming back, and shit can get out of hand quickly if you're not just ignoring them. But fuck, you can't even do that sometimes because the game just loves throwing a bunch at once when you least expect it. I'm just trying to enjoy the scenery and music, but the moment I move 3 inches to the right, it's like, we are the Jiangxi 3! I guess it's appropriate for the final kingdom. This game isn't terribly difficult, but it does have its moments peppered throughout, and usually the main culprit is just how weird Mario controls. The first world isn't anything complicated, but if you're trying to get those elusive one-ups, you'll start dealing with the super gravity sooner rather than later. And shit, that always makes me nervous. If you're a real marksman with the Super Ball, the second world shouldn't give you too much trouble, otherwise there's a lot of enemies both high and low that can just get in the fucking way. It also hosts the first of 2 shoot-'em-up levels, and I know this isn't really Mario, but I'd gladly take these over the swimming levels in the original game. Yeah, it does help that I adore shoot-'em-up, so these are right up my alley. I think the third world, the Eastern Kingdom, might be my least favorite. I love the Easter Island heads as enemies, except the ones that scurry along the ground like cockroaches. Legit. I remember being startled by these guys as a kid because of how sudden and fast they entered the screen, like I never liked needing to jump on these boulders to get past the spiked floor because I always felt I was going to clip through these things if I tapped the D-pad too many times, or shit, if I even breathed wrong. The second stage of this world also just fucking sucks because of the dickheaded enemy placement and little room for error you have with the tight platforming. Just might be my least favorite part of the game. Now, the Chai Kingdom has a lot of shit trying to kill you, but I find the platforming to be less bullshit than the previous world, if anything, because enemy placement doesn't feel as careless. Still hectic at times, but nothing Super Ball can't deal with. I hear this shit has a radioactive core.
Do not taunt Happy Fun Ball.
The end of every world has you go against the head honcho, and like Bowser in the original game, you defeat these guys by touching the end post behind them and watch them fucking explode. If you got the Super Ball though, you can fight these guys directly, and watch your confusion as all these guys sound like drowning sheep, even the sentient cloud. The final boss is against the space alien Tatanga himself, and well, if you didn't care for the shoot-'em-up stuff, I'm sorry to say the last level is nothing but that, and Tatanga can be pretty challenging. He's relentless with those scattered projectiles. Most times the preferred strategy is getting right up to his face and spamming the shoot button. You tank the hit, take advantage of the mercy window, and hope that he dies before you do. But with Tatanga defeated, Princess Daisy is rescued, and the two take off to parts unknown with a rocket ship that just happened to be there. And that's all she wrote. It's short, bite-sized, and a little aged, but Super Mario Land was a solid first attempt at a handheld Mario game. It was one of the first games I ever played on the Game Boy. I think it was also one of the first I've beaten, next to Kirby's Dream Land. It gave me a superb soundtrack, a surreal world with aggressive Easter Island heads before Gradius was introduced into my life. It gave us Princess Daisy, and yeah, she was just a clone of Peach in her debut, but in time, she gets the tomboy personality, the fiery moxie. She's my favorite princess of the bunch. Don't get me wrong, Peach is cool, and I love Rosalina, but Daisy is my queen, even if she does have the voice of a screeching harpy in some of the sports games. Yeah. If you're into the emulation scene or off-put by the simplistic graphics and monochrome look, you can always try out the Mario Land DX mod. There's also one for the next game I'm about to look at, but I didn't bother since I think Mario Land 2 is just fine the way it is. But Mario Land DX is pretty cool. It gives the game a proper Game Boy Color palette, revamps the sprites so that things are more recognizable, tweaks the controls just a smidge, and even adds a playable Luigi, complete with his dog shit physics from Lost Levels. Oh boy, I always wanted to play Stage 3 2 with jumper cables gripped to my balls. Shit, I thought Mario looked done with this shit, but I know Luigi's gotta be going through it with these damn ice physics. I feel bad for the next decoy he comes across, cause I know that shit ain't gonna end well for them. Believe it or not, despite enjoying the original Mario Land, the sequel is something I wouldn't play until like 20 years after its initial release. And I couldn't tell you why I ignored it for so long, I just kind of forgot about it. Still better late than never, they always say, and this one I consider a keeper. So it turns out that while Mario was away saving the 4 kingdoms of Sarasaland, a new villain saw opportunity and took over Mario's castle back home and hypnotized the locals to guard the 6 golden coins needed to enter Mario's castle. Alright, first off, Mario just deadass owns a castle in this? Guess he finally started cashing in all those checks from rescuing the day. That villain in question, though, is Wario, making his grand debut here, and wow, I forgot how unhinged Wario was in his debut. Have you ever seen the commercials for Mario Land 2? They're great, but it's so weird seeing Wario portrayed as a maniacal madman when later he just becomes a greedy slob. I've never seen the Netherlands commercial until making this video, and I'm pretty goddamn sure this Wario is on some shit and he's hiding from the feds. Look at those shifty eyes. That's a paranoid man on the run. So if the original Mario Land took a lot of cues from the original Super Mario Bros., it's clear that Mario Land 2 took a lot of notes from Mario 3 and even Mario World. Right off the bat, clear as day, the graphics have gotten a massive upgrade. The resolution is a bit crunchy, but the sprite quality cannot be mistaken. This is a great looking Mario game for the Game Boy. Enemies both new and old are full of whimsy and detail that makes them easily identifiable. Mario himself looks like a great blend between his Mario 3 and World designs. He even has the spin jump from Mario World, letting him break certain blocks with his feet when he's big. The classic Fire Flower is back, acting exactly how it worked in the console games, though because Mario Land 2 was originally black and white, they couldn't properly show Fire Mario's color palette on the screen, so they just gave him this feather on his cap to help show the upgrade. And upon looking at the concept art, Mario, that's just the cape feather from Mario World. You're wearing that shit wrong. Put the fucking cape on, come on now. Now, they probably didn't want to bring in a game-breaking power-up as infamous as the cape feather. Or maybe they didn't want to take attention away from the other game-breaking power-up, the carrot. Mario grabs this, he gets a pair of bunny ears that extends his jump time to an absurd degree. Shit, if your mashing game is on point, you can keep Mario in the air almost indefinitely and skip past humongous chunks of the levels. It's pretty fun to do, but I do feel it cheapens the experience, just flying over everything. This ain't Bubsy 2 on the Game Boy, Mario's better than that, so I wouldn't spam this if you can help it. The general level design of Mario Land 2 is great. Mario Land, that is the world itself and not, the first game, consists of 6 different zones and even a handful of secret levels you can unlock by keeping your eyes peeled for alternate pathways. With the regular coins you collect, you can even play some mini games whenever you want to nab some power-ups and a shit ton of extra lives, if you're lucky enough. The end of every stage also has a bonus game if you manage to ring the bell on top of the exit. If you want an easy carrot for the crane game, mash the A button as soon as you can and the claw will always grab the carrot without fail. Trust me, there are much better means of getting extra lives outside of this game. I don't think it's worth the risk of getting jack shit, though I do like the sound effect that plays when you fuck up. What's cool is that you're free to explore the entirety of Mario Land at your leisure. You can tackle any zone in any order you choose like a Mega Man game. With that in mind, some zones I do find more difficult than others. Like personally, I leave Tree Zone and Turtle Zone for last, since I find their respective levels spicier compared to others considering the types of platforming and hazards thrown your way. Now that I think about it, Turtle Zone might be my least favorite of the bunch because of just how long-winded and slow some of the swimming sections feel. Tree Zone isn't anything ball-crushing, and if you want, you can ignore a lot with the bunny ears. But it's got some strange gimmicks like the floating water bits that don't feel great to travel through, considering you're flipping between jumping and swimming in an unnatural manner. Pumpkin Zone is great though. I'm a sucker for a Halloween aesthetic beyond the typical haunted house set pieces, and I love that the enemies get into the spirit too. Literally, in the Goomba's case, there's Goomba ghosts here, and some even wear Jason Voorhees masks. Yeah, remember him? He drowned as a kid. I love the low gravity gimmick of Space Zone. Even if you don't have Bunny Mario at your beck and call, you can still get some major air and even float to your heart's content in one of the auto-scrollers. Unfortunately, it's one of the shorter zones in the game, game, and revisiting it is kind of a pain because you have to do this hippo level to get back to this world every time, even after finishing it, and it's like, I'd rather we just have a shortcut. For what it's worth, if you stay in the bubble in the hippo stage, you can ignore most of it, but that just makes me feel like, yeah, we really only needed to do this zone once. Also, I feel kind of bad for the moon here in the background because it's got a jovial smile when you start the zone, but if you unlock the secret level, it gets a star lodged into its head, pissing it off, and then he gets all sad for the rest of the game. You know, maybe Wario was right to steal the castle from this jerk. I gotta be real, I don't remember much from Macro Zone. If you find the secret exit in the beginning of this place, you can straight up skip most of the zone and head straight for the boss level, which is what I found myself accidentally doing. Sure, I could have just gone back and do the rest, but I already left the house and I didn't want to come off as a stalker. Then there's Mario Zone. Yeah, the dude named the zone after himself. And it's a giant toy statue of him too. The ego on this guy. I only recall one thing from this zone. The level around his crotch area has a lot of balls, which I'm willing to bet was completely intentional considering the kind of shit Mario devs like to sprinkle throughout the games if they can get away with it. You know, like the topless bikini girl on Yoshi's Island and the cock and ball P-switches in Mario 3D World. Keep it in your pants, guys, unless you want that shit to go. Every zone caps off with a boss fight, and it's a pretty weird selection of goons. You got this disgruntled bird, there's an angry octopus, the 3 little pigs, Wendy Witchcart from Tails Sky Patrol. Oh shit! Alright! Tatanga from Mario Land, I mean the last game, not this place, makes a return as the boss of Space World, and I personally think he's the toughest of the bunch by virtue of having attacks worth a damn. The rest of these guys are nothing to worry about. They go down super easily, whether you're big, small, or full of carrots. But when you collect all 6 golden coins, it's time to take back your castle. It's only one stage, but damn, it's easily the most difficult. I don't know if these obstacles were something Wario added or Mario already installed as a security measure, the paranoid fuck. But whatever the case, a lot of shit here wants your ass, and the platforming can get surprisingly tight. At the end awaits Wario, who decides to use your power-ups against you, resulting in 3 different phases. You know what though? Bonus points to Wario for the pragmaticism. He sees how they work for Mario, he can do that shit too. But Wario's still no match for Mario's moves, and the dude gets his cheeks clapped after enough time. Before he scatters away though, he bequeaths Mario a boot to the head. And one for Jenny and the Wimp. Mario gets his castle back and Mario Land is saved. I do wonder if Mario still has this castle, you know, like, even in modern times, or does he rent it out to other folks in Mario Land while he's gone? I think back to his house in the RPG games and I'm like, well wait, where's his fucking castle? Or does Mario yearn for the simpler life? Why not just give it to Luigi then? Shit, he goes through a lot of shit in his own game just to get his own fucking house. Don't tell me Mario's an asshole landlord now. But this clearly won't be the last time we see Wario, because after this game, he not only becomes a mainstay in spin-off titles like Wario's Woods and I think the Japanese-only Mario and Wario game for the SNES, but starting with the next Game Boy game, he gets his own series, and that's what we're going to be covering next. So it's time to look at the Wario Land games. The plan is to cover all of them, including Wario World in the GameCube and Wario Land Shake It for the Nintendo Wii. First up though is Wario Lands 1 through 4. So with all that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you all for watching. Stay safe out there. Have yourselves a fantastic night. And where the fuck did that come from? Hey everybody, I appreciate you sticking around to the end credits. How about some more Patreon shoutouts to some lovely supporters of this channel? So shoutouts to Gate653, Gemini Poison 2000, General Williams, Genesis, Ghost Melon, GNXG, Gizmo, Glacia Frostina, Glesvoska, Gonzo Beans 385, Gredrick, Griff, Gumby, Gumshoe Gamer, Gailuami, Cardinal, Guacamole, Gwen Armpits, HR Theater, Harold Ord, Harry Plus 2, Hawkwind 2652, Heartless, Heckler Games, Hellfire Revenant, Heroes Rise Up, Horace, Hugh Coin, Hugh D, Hunter Bear 97, I am the Pokemon Master, or I am the Pikmin Master, it's Rick, Ian Bo, and Ari, Infielder Seth, Instratilis, Isaac, Otaku de Carnitas Diaz, Easy Kill, JCN, and finally for today, Jack Bailey. If you want to watch more reviews, you can click on the playlist here on the end screen. You know, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more, all that jazz. I just appreciate you being here. Have a good night, everybody.